Hi, this is the market recap of the used vehicles exports from Japan. Now the question is, how well did the Japanese exporters do in this turbulence of a year of pandemic in 2020? And this year, overall, there were 1.1 million units of vehicles being exported. That contributed $5.4 billion to the Japanese economy. There was a drop of 14% in the total numbers of exports in this year when you compare it with the last year. In 2020, there were 1.1 million units of vehicles exported. In 2019, there were 1.3 million units exported. That 14% drop literally means about 200,000 units, and which is obviously, with the reason of pandemic, we had shipped less units in this year. Now let's take a look at the exports market distribution into the areas and the continents that we have in 2020. The leading position takes for the Asia with a 33.2%, and the second one follows up with an African continent 27.3%, and the European market takes the third position with a 15.5%, the Oceanian territories with a 10.2%, and South America with North America alone takes about 8.2 and 5.6%. Now let's have a look at the top 10 countries the last year and this year. There is no much difference in this table, but we see the Uganda taking place after Sri Lanka's spot. As you may know, there are two types of shipments from Japan. We have the container and the ro-ro shipments, and 40% of the entire shipments being done in containers in this year, and the 60% falls for the ro-ro lines that carried out all the used vehicles from Japan to overseas. The containers are vital in the used cars market, and as you may know that the world is experiencing a very big container shortage crisis at the moment, and that is due to the lockdowns of the countries in many parts of the world. Also in this year we have noticed that the average prices for the vehicles have gone up. In 2020, 1.1 million of units being exported with an average price of $4,950. When you compare with the 2019, the average price was $4,750. Now here are the top 5 countries divided into the continents or the territories. Take a look. Jamaica in the Caribbean territories is the leading market, but this year it dropped for 28%, and that is due to, of course, the lockdowns of many countries. They couldn't travel for their leisure vacations to the beautiful islands in the Caribbean, and Jamaica is one of them. They had suffered with a lockdowns and a less tourists coming to the country, and the people over there, they couldn't import as many units as they could. And that's a very big drop for the island of Sri Lanka, and due to the very strict lockdowns of the country, so many items they couldn't come into the country. Hopefully for the next year the government is going to reconsider its regulations and open the doors for the tourists and for the goods to flow in. And 20% of the drop we could see in the United Arab Emirates, though it is the top leading country still in our list, but this country, as you know guys, they import and do the re-export to the Middle Eastern countries and plus the African countries. Due to the lockdowns again, not many customers could come to the country and purchase their cars. And we see the New Zealand with a 19.5% drop in this year when you compare with the last year's one, and due to the very strict regulation of the country for the electronic stability control of the vehicles, which should be maybe even the fresher units from 2007 and onwards. Along with a touristic island such as Jamaica, we have seen a Mediterranean island of Cyprus with a drop in imports of the vehicles, entire island with the south and the north. This entire island was under lockdown, under very strict lockdown, and they could not accommodate and import many tourists into the country. No tourists literally means no influx of monies. That's why the people over there, the local people, they didn't import as many cars as they could for themselves as well for the tourists. Well, not every other market is suffering, but we see some incrementals in some interesting markets, such as Uganda. Uganda has risen up for 17% in this year, maybe due to the elections of next year, 2021 in January. The probably president eased some regulations for the common people to import some vehicles. Another country with a positive incremental we see with a 5%, and that is Malaysia in the Southeast Asian country. This market with a 5-year-old regulation imports very beautiful cars like Toyota Alphard and Toyota Wellfire high-end classes, but at the moment what we can see, they are integrating into more cheaper cars like a Toyota Voxy and a Noah. Another country with a 5% incremental in this year we could see in the Russian market. Russia overall imports into the eastern part of it with the port of Vladivostok imported 128,000 units, but it is still a plus when you compare with last year. So this year they were scared to take the public transportations, and they were willing to get their own personal vehicles to move around. Well, unlike with the other touristic islands like Jamaica and Cyprus, where we see the drop, but we see in the Oceanian island of Fiji, we have incrementals in this island due to the government regulation change. They allowed to import vehicles for the common people on the island with easy regulations. And this is the end of the market recap for the 2020 of the exports of Japanese cars to overseas markets. So let's hope for the best results. Let's hope for the positive market movements in the next year, and together with yourselves and ourselves, we create a value. Stay safe. Much love. Bye-bye.